Football's biggest crime scene is not always a dark alley. Sometimes it is a packed World Cup stadium, soaked in sweat, flags, whistles, and one result that feels too perfect to be clean. These are 5 World Cup matches fans still believe were fixed, where match-fixing rumors, political pressure, dead eyes from referees, and one poisoned water story turned football history into a cold case file. It only needed a bottle of water. First, Italy, 1934. Fascist flags were everywhere. Stadiums were wrapped in propaganda. Benito Mussolini wanted the World Cup to become a giant loudspeaker for his regime, and Italy could not simply host. Italy had to win. Officially, Italy became champions, but fans still point to the atmosphere around that tournament. Political pressure, rough matches, controversial refereeing, and a host nation playing under the shadow of a dictator who understood the power of sport. Was it fixed? Nothing was ever proven in a clean courtroom way. But the suspicion never died, because when politics walks onto the pitch, every whistle starts sounding suspicious. Then came Argentina 6, Peru 0, 1978. Argentina needed a huge win to reach the final ahead of Brazil. Not 1 goal, not 2. They needed at least 4. And under the lights of a military dictatorship, the scoreboard looked less like football and more like a message. Peru collapsed. Argentina surged. The crowd roared like the result had already been written before kickoff. Rumors followed for decades. Pressure, political deals, intimidation, strange timing, strange silence. Again, no final proof strong enough to close the case. But that scoreline remains one of the most infamous World Cup match-fixing controversies ever whispered by fans. Now the bottle. Argentina versus Brazil, 1990. Brazil were attacking, Argentina were suffering. The match felt hot, ugly, and tense, like every tackle had teeth. Then Brazil's Branco later claimed he drank from a bottle offered during the match and started feeling dizzy. Fans called it the holy water scandal, a dark little legend from a 1-0 Argentina win. Diego Maradona later fed the mythology with jokes and hints, and that made it worse. Was Branco really drugged? Was it mind games? Was it just football paranoia? Nobody has ever fully buried the story. That is why it still crawls around World Cup history like a rumor that refuses to die. Then, 2002. South Korea versus Italy. Then South Korea versus Spain. The stadiums were electric, red shirts shaking like fire, the noise so loud it felt physical. But the refereeing became the story. Against Italy, Byron Moreno sent off Francesco Totti and disallowed moments that still make Italian fans furious. Against Spain, Gamal Al-Gandour oversaw a game where Spain had goals ruled out in decisions fans still replay with disbelief. South Korea made history. But for many viewers, those matches became the symbol of World Cup refereeing controversy. Not proven fixing, not an official conviction, but enough strange calls to create a permanent wound. And finally, the one that changed everything. West Germany versus Austria, 1982. The Disgrace of Gijón. Algeria had already played. Germany and Austria knew the exact result that would send them both through. Germany scored early. Then the match slowed into something cold and lifeless. Pass, pause, pass. No urgency, no hunger. The crowd whistled. Algerian fans watched their dream bleed out in real time. FIFA said no rule had been broken. But the damage was so obvious that World Cup final group games were later scheduled at the same time. That is why these 5 World Cup matches fans still believe were fixed still matter. They are not just football stories. They are crime stories without a final confession, where the evidence is emotion, timing, power, and one question that never leaves the stadium. What if the game was already decided before the ball moved?